My name is Lorrie. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. Today we are talking about this block called Lily of the Field. We are making this block in May, but we are talking about this block. You will understand why I picked this block when you listen to the story on May 1st. So, and I will put the pattern there after the 1st, so it'll be like the 3rd. I'm not sure the date. Thursday's 1st, so it'll be the following week. The best way to make these weird shapes right here is to, I think, this 4 of these right here is to paper piece this. Now, in the past, printers had a slot that you could scan right onto a USB drive and then load it on your computer. My printer does not have that, and I cannot find any way to make that template on the computer easily to have it be the right shape. So I'm working on that, but until then, I'm going to show you how to make a template. It will be easy. This is a 12-inch block, and so each one of these sections has to be 3.5. So here is my template, and I've added notes. Make 4 copies, include seam allowance. So to make this, it's easiest if you have a 3.5-inch ruler, but you can use any size ruler, and I am not using a Sharpie pen, and I've even labeled it pink and blue. Let me show you how this is done. Let me grab my piece of scrap paper, because I'm not using good paper. Let me go get that ruler, and I will be right back. I've also grabbed a bigger ruler so you can see how easy it would be. And there's my 3.5, the actual size I need. I'm going to use a pencil. That way, if I make any mistakes, I can change them. So first thing I need to do is draw myself a 3.5-inch square. And I can do that with this or this, but because I have it, I'm going to go ahead and use the actual size square. I'm going to trace in as close as I can. Oops. See, that's why I'm using pencil. Now, I need to draw in seam allowances. So this ruler, which has a nice dark seam allowance, makes it easy. This one has lines too. I mean, you could draw it in there, put it on the 1/4 inch so you're 1/4 inch in. But this one, so far this is easy. You're drawing straight lines. You're drawing a square. So there's the seam allowance. Let me pull that off the clipboard. This is not difficult. But you will need 4 of these when you are done. So now I need to make the actual shape. And they're all the same. They just get turned, a 1/4 of a turn. So I could just go 1.5, line that up with the outside, mark my spot, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, 1.5. And I can turn the ruler lots of different ways. Now I need the sewing line because this is paper piecing. And I want this point to be nice and sharp. That's the whole point of paper piecing. So I'm going to line up with the 1.5 and the inside corner, and I'm going to draw a line. Now I do know that this will overlap. It will be all right. And that way, when I put it, so I'm going to do piece 1, This can be 2 or 3. This can be 2 or 3. It doesn't matter which ones the outsides are. But I need to cut my shape a 1/4 of an inch bigger on each side so that I can sew it and then add the shape on. So this, on my example of blue and pink, this will be the background color, and this will be the cross color that matches the point at the top. So if I were making this into, it would match the red. This would match the red, and this would match the red. In this example, these are not the actual colors. So I need to make some copies of this and mock up an example for you. So now before I sit down to sew, I have made 2 copies of my pencil drawing, and I'm going to roughly cut them out with the paper scissors. And there are tons of tutorials out there on paper piecing. My favorite thing that I have seen, and I don't have it handy here, is to use the little tracing wheel on the lines where you fold. But if you'd like to, so you can see easier, you can fold those ahead of time. That way they already have creases. And yes, they do overlap in that bottom. It will be all right. Make sure you add seam allowances. Like I said, this one in the middle is the background fabric. So I need to go find some background fabric and find some pieces so I can show you what I've done. Normally, I oversize this so that I can cut it down, but I happen to have some background squares that are the perfect size, so I held this up to the light and I have it lined up exactly, and I'm pinning it because I'm sewing on this side and I am looking, this will be my final product. So this is perfectly lined up, and now I need to go find a piece that will fit here and here. Back in a minute. So since I am doing practice, I grabbed a 2.5 inch strip, and it will cover that pretty well as long as I keep it fairly straight. So I need to make sure I'm only covering my fold by 1/4 of an inch. Oh, I guess I need to put that on this side of the paper, don't I? So I need to make sure I'm covering my fold, and I can see the fold there, 1/4 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. And when I sew it, I'm going to pin it because today I'm limited for time. I'm going to lay it on top of that, move some things out of the way. But I want you to see. So I have 1/4 of an inch here and 1/4 of an inch here. I'm going to pin in a couple places. This pin on the back side is out of the way, but I want it pinned so it doesn't flip or switch or change. I'll be back in a minute to show you what it looks like when it is all sewed. The pins are out of the way. You don't even need to remove them because you're not going to go over them. Now I see I have extra here, but I want to fold it back. Oh, moment of truth. It did cover it. Yay, because I don't see any paper sticking out. So that's one side done. Now I need to fit the other side on there. So let me get a decent pair of scissors and cut that off. I think I'll cut from this side so we don't have any mishaps. And then I think I'm even going to roughly, now I'm not cutting my seam allowance yet. I'm going to let it rough because that's the easiest way. Now I need to put this side on. Of course, right sides together. Oh, and I can go back in here, fold that where I had it folded, and I can see the seam allowance through it. I can trim that piece off because we won't need that inside. That can go in my scrap bucket. So let me line this up. So I have this face up. Oop, oop. Let's fold that back. And I have this face down. And I need to do my 1/4 inch from where I folded. And if I didn't have that, I could fold that back and check and see that I have my 1/4 inch. It will be all right. My qualms with paper piecing, you get such nice sharp points, but my problem with paper piecing is that I end up with all this junk. And then I end up with fire starter scraps, but oh, it does give you nice points. Sometimes, and I've said this for years, it does serve a purpose. There's a reason why somebody came up with it. So now I need to sew this, and I will have this piece ready for you, and we can see how those two pieces look together. And I can pin through all the layers, and I can take my pins out. I love the wool mat because I can just stick the pins in like that. Then I fold it back, and it covers my paper. So I can take this pin out too because it's not going anywhere. And I can rough trim this because I don't need all this floppy mess hanging around. And I can give this a quick press with the iron. And then I can trim it. Now is the perfect time to trim after a quick press. When I was younger, I would have never made a mock-up. But when you're doing videos for other people to learn and see, sometimes you don't really have a choice. Oh, look at that nice sharp point. Let me get the trimming things. I'm going to turn it over on the paper side. I'm going to make sure that's nice and flat. And I'm going to, since I gave myself a seam allowance on the paper side, and where the threads join should be right there. I know some of you are cringing. Oh my gosh, she's trimming through the paper too. Yes, I am. It will not dull my blade that much. It will be all right. And there we have, look at that. And it does overlap here. And I need to go back in and trim this extra out because I don't want all those layers. I folded the paper back so it is out of the way. And I'm letting the paper in there till I am done sewing pieces together because it does give it some stability. So let me give that another press, and then I'm going to add on. I know it doesn't match, but remember, this is practice. So I'm going to join those two together, and they should line up. I will be in May, I will be making the top part with sew and flip corners with a 3.5 inch square and a 2.5 inch square. Let's see how this turns out. And you know, because I did a sew and flip corner and it was a 2.5 inch, you know I just can't resist that bonus triangle. So I'll set that aside for later, and I will iron that. Let's give this a little press. And now let's go and join these two pieces so that they should match up. Back in. So I now have my piece on top, and I have my paper piece on the bottom. Moment of truth. Looks pretty good. Little tiny bit over, but I could put a pin down through it. Now, when I join the other half, it gives me that nice cross point. So this is how I would do it with templates. This is probably how I am going to make this one. Next week, I will show you another option if you are not into paper piecing at all. My friend Barb is not really enjoying paper piecing, so she might like the next way to make this beautiful shape, except it will be the whole kite shape. So see you next week. I hope you give paper piecing template making a try. It is not hard, and you just need 4 little pieces that are 3.5. Give it some practice, see how it works out. See you next week for a different way to make this lovely little block. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Remember, like and subscribe. Help my little channel grow.